Sometimes when a Japanese video game gets localized, some changes are made to it that you cannot really get behind. In the case of Phantasy Star II, some of them are even of sexual nature. But are they all intentional? I'm Goaty_. As a Twitch streamer, I like to educate about old games, and in my first YouTube video I wanted to tell you some little known facts about my favorite video game of all time. Phantasy Star II, Sega's first 16-bit RPG and a massive hit. I have some proficiency in the Japanese language. I'm able to gather information from exclusive sources such as the original game script, the manual, official books and interviews. Without any major spoilers, here are the 6 localization changes this game had that you should know about. The first change might have just been an oversight, but outside of Japan, the main character's backstory is missing from the manual. This way, when you start the game, you don't know about the spaceship crash that killed both Rolf's parents and in which he miraculously actually survived. You will still be able to piece back together that past even just by talking to NPCs around the game and just plot developments. But it's kind of puzzling how Rolf's story in particular was just taken away. In the Japanese version, when the ex-delinquent Kain joins your party, he will make it pretty clear that he's doing so because he's into Nay, Rolf's younger sister, his cute younger sister as he calls her. He also points out how he's a gentleman, so that women in the party don't have anything to worry about. This attraction is completely absent from the localization, whereas in the original it's very clear not only in the game text but also in the manual and in the official Phantasy Star compendium. I'd say they cut this off on purpose. Maybe because technically Nay is barely 2 years old? But this is not the only sexual change that was made to the game I'm gonna tell you guys about, and it's not even the most controversial one, as you'll see near the end of the video. Phantasy Star II was the 7th game to ever release on the MegaDrive, and just like its predecessor on the Master System, it was a massive hit. Back then, the Western audience wasn't too used to playing console RPGs, so its massive and labyrinthic dungeons convinced Sega to bundle a full-color hintbook outside of Japan, over 100 pages long, complete with maps. Dungeon maps. When I was little, me and my brothers didn't have, say, a hintbook. We would map the game by hand, which is an original experience I'm recreating on my Twitch channel. These days, for my Twitch Mega Marathon project, I'm playing through and mapping the entirety of this game, which will be useful when I stream the remake for PlayStation 2. I stream every Wednesday, Friday and Sunday, so come hang out, because whatever game we're playing, I just love to constantly share facts like this with chat with you guys. In Phantasy Star II, unlike any other game in the series, characters that die in battle are dead. They're not dying or fainted, nor can you resurrect them thanks to a higher power. You have to clone them. This clown clones them for you. Without spoiling one of the best moments in the game, I'll say that the reason for the clone lab attendant not to clone somebody at some point is actually because of, I quote from the Japanese game, their cells getting messy. This detail is left out in the English version, which makes the rest of the explanation unrealistic and inconsistent. If you find this video interesting, subscribe to the Goaty_ channel. It's this channel you're watching right now. This is the one you probably know something about. Mostly due to the full character limitation, some names were either changed, like how Uses became Rolf, or shortened, like Rutger became Rudo and Shilka became Sheer. By the way, Rudo was literally based on Rutger Hauer, as documented in the original character planning in the book World of Phantasy Star. Anyways, what's interesting, or weird even, is how Amy and Anna's names were apparently swapped. So much so that even the hint book has them name swapped. The hint book is made in Japan though, so at least that kinda makes sense. And then a name that wasn't actually changed, but maybe it should have, was Lutz's name. Now, Lutz was a party member in the first game, and much to the confusion of those who had played that classic and then moved on to the second game in the series later, 2 years later, it was actually renamed to Noah in the first game, which in turn is the name of the endgame spaceship in both versions of the second game. Then there are the job descriptions that each character has. This is more of a special mention rather than a localization change, but here's some extra stuff for you, perhaps the most interesting one being Anna's, going from Counter Hunter to Guardian, then Kain from Junker to Wrecker, and Hugh from Scholar to Biologist, because like being a student wasn't compelling enough. Another name change leads us to the next and final point. the piano teacher Ustvestia, original named Avantino. Here's what's probably the most controversial point. This piano teacher, this human sound test, is required to teach you the technique music, and will charge 2,000 meseta to males in your party instead of the 5,000 that will ask to female party members. Now, his original text, both in the original and the remake, makes him clearly homosexual and has him gasping and how cute a man you select is, even using feminine interjections in his dialogue. The localization, unfortunately, it just goes with, he looks smart. Let me know in the comments what you think about this one. Some say that they went from making him homosexual to sexist, which obviously is bad. This game's localization and translation, all these points aside, is actually of very high quality. Usually some of the content is cut off due to character limitations, since the Japanese language can fit more in less space. And sometimes the Western versions of RPGs don't accommodate for that with either more text boxes or smaller characters. However, Phantasy Star II does a great job at conveying most of the value from the original game's text, and even adds more text boxes to make sure all of that is passed through. Which ones from these you think were deliberate choices rather than sacrifices meant to save space, either on the memory or on the screen? Alright, this was my first YouTube video, and it was about my favorite game of all time, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'll see you guys either on a stream or in the next video or in Discord. I'll just dump some links below, and so yeah. Now you're gonna see the weird sprite overlap for like 1 frame. Now, yeah, what has happened? Rolf and the others quickly decided to return to Passio. All right, and now again, did you see that? Did you see that?